Shout out to Astarte Jones for sending me this story, and it's coming from this website called diversityinc.com. I've never heard of it, but this is where it's coming from. So look at this picture right here. It says hashtag hate is a virus, hashtag stop Asian hate. Apparently, all it took was for a pandemic from Wuhan, China, to come over here for the Asian community to get called a couple of names and a couple of other things, and within a year they already have legislation passed for them from various places in federal government and state and local government. Because look at the title. California passes $1.4 million in funding to help fight anti-Asian discrimination and violence. We cannot make this stuff up. So you mean to tell me, after all the stuff that black people have gone through in this establishment, those who were most likely already born here for decades, we can't even get that little bit of funding? And they got that after experiencing anti quote unquote Asian discrimination for like a year. 1 year versus centuries with us. And then they'll just tell us that we're doing too much. I would like to know, where is people like Larry Elder and Herschel Walker, you know, the anti-reparation Siamese Coon twins that has so much stuff to say about black people not getting reparations and we don't deserve it. I bet you they are on board with this. I bet you a lot of those Sambos and Sambettes are on board full steam ahead with this. It's amazing. It is amazing. And it's not even surprising that it's coming out of California, the so-called most liberal state. Let me read that again. California passes a $1.4 million in funding to help fight anti-Asian discrimination and violence. And notice it said specifically anti-Asian discrimination, and it say anti-POC. They made it specifically for them. But when it comes to us, we have to be added into POC. There has to be studies done and all kinds of things. Did they do a study with them before they decided to create this? No. Just like that Letitia, what's her name, James up in New York, who wanted to create that hotline for them a couple months after the pandemic started, while we were still in quarantine for them, and people went in on her, and she tried to go and cycle back on what she did, even though she was already stuck. See, they literally are laying out the groundwork for Asian people as it stands. They are now trying to make Asian, or the Asian community, the new oppressed class. Like, look at the headlines that have been going out for the last couple of weeks. Like, you've had like the news clips talking about the Asian people that was being pushed and everything. What about all the stuff that Asians have done to other people, specifically black people? I'll take it a step further. What about the stuff that they've done against each other, such as the sex trafficking and the human trafficking with those massage parlors? I can't tell you how many videos I and others have done where they have sex traffic and human traffic other women, some of them might be minors, for sex with these random old, mainly PC men. I just did a story of it coming out of Utah. Then you had one I did a few months ago last year of it happening in New York, in upstate New York. But they don't talk about that. Then, of course, you know, you had what happened with Robert Kraft down in Florida. Human and sex trafficking runs rampant in that community, and they don't bat an eye. Interesting choice of words I said with bat, but let me just go ahead and get into this. Following the recent spike in anti-Asian violence taking place across the U.S. and especially in large urban centers like Los Angeles and New York. Notice the words. Urban centers, aka black. Code speak, but we can decipher that. The state of California is stepping in to try and help combat the problem. In a legislative session on Monday, February 22nd, the California Assembly passed a motion approving $1.4 million in state funding to help combat anti-Asian violence and racism. Look, and the thing is, they said recent spike, as in within the last month. Black people have been having recent spikes forever, and we can't even get that. And the thing is, a lot of those Asians in those communities, they how much you want to bet they don't even be asking for that. These politicians, as I like to call them, will literally grovel and throw money at them. I'm willing to bet they do not actually ask for that. They just go ahead and they just throw money at them, and it's a reason why they do that. They're looking. There is something that they need from the Asian community. They need to keep them on, on their good side for some reason. They got to keep the model minority on their side. Assembly member Phil Ting of San Francisco and the chair Assembly Budget Committee secured funding through the passage of AB 85, which provides additional state resources for the ongoing pandemic response, reported the Sacramento Bee's Ashley Wong. The money will be used to support Stop AAPI Hates research and help the organization track anti-Asian incidents, which have increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. In a statement, Ting said, the rise in hate incidents against Asian Americans during the pandemic is alarming, but we can't solve a problem without knowing how big it is. New state funding allows the data gathering to continue, and the research will ultimately lead us to solutions that will make all communities safer. The Stop AAPI Hates Reporting Center was created in March 2020 by the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council, Chinese for Affirmative Action, and San Francisco State University's Asian American Studies Department. Stop AAPI Hate's goal is to gather reports of anti-Asian discrimination from across the country. In just the first 6 months of the center's existence, the period between March and August of 2020, it received more than 2,500 incidents of anti-Asian discrimination nationwide. More than 40% of those reports originated within California. In related news, Next Shark's Carl Sampson has reported that hundreds of protesters gathered in Los Angeles and New York over the weekend of February 20th and 21st to protest the alarming spike in anti-Asian racism and violence. Speaking at one of the rallies in New York, Senator John Liu said, "We understand when we're being singled out for one reason and one reason only, and that is the color of our skin, or some would say the angle of our eyes." First off, see, and now I keep thinking that, I can't help but think that now they are literally piggybacking off of what we go through, and they're going to thrust themselves right in the forefront. And then everybody's going to supposed to be feeling so sorry, so sad. Listen. This may sound harsh, but I don't give a fuck. Because no one gives a damn about us, so why should I? They'll say, "Oh, you're being so mean." You're damn right. But one thing you can't say is that I'm lying. I mean, how many times have black people gone through something in this establishment and our stuff is put on the back burner and we're supposed to be made to carry the plight in the water of everyone else, but when it comes time for the reciprocation, we on our own. It says, for more stuff, I'm not about to promote them anymore. Because they talking about their website. I'm not promoting that. They go through name calling, what seems to be just name calling, and a few little shoves and maybe a couple of slaps here and there. We go through actual murder. When's the last time you actually seen police brutality fall upon an Asian person in this establishment known as America? Someone please help me out, help a brother out, because I really need to know, because I'm confused. I'm lost. I'm sick. I'm starting to stumble over my words. I really don't know when the last time I saw that. And they still won't talk about how a lot of Asians are known to discriminate against black people. And I'm supposed to just stop and just care? No, I don't. That's their issue as far as I'm concerned. It is. Let them deal with it. And then, like I said, I had to do that video about that Laura Hawaiian the other day. Going to talk about BLM. Now, like I said, I have my issues with BLM, but don't try to use that as a bargaining chip to try to help aim your cause. And then got exposed when people type BLM next to your name and you never tweeted about BLM until that day. It's the insanity, the hypocrisy of it all. But yeah, you're reading it right there on the screen. They passed that $1.4 million funding. And it doesn't sound like, to me, it took them long to come to that conclusion. But when black people are saying about reparations, which we've been talking about for years, mind you, years versus a year for them. And here's the thing. They didn't even have to make that much noise. Think about it. They did not have to get that loud. We over here screaming. They over there whispering. Their whispers were louder than our screams, and they got funding going their way. And I tell you right now, it's a domino effect. What California is doing right now is going to trickle down to other states. I guarantee it. They're going to literally make them a very protected class. Very protected. And then, of course, we'll still be stranded like we've always been. And they'll tell us to stop complaining and, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and all that other shit that only falls on us and nobody else. As if we are the only shiftless group in this establishment, when truth be told, we're not even that shiftless as they claim we are. We can point some people who are lazy and some bums, if you want to keep it technical. But yeah, they can go somewhere with that. Like, to my people who are in California, I need to know, before this video, did you know that this was happening? Because look at the site I'm on. It's called Diversity Inc. It's not even on a mainstream site, which means they're trying to keep this hush hush. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you text the number that's pinned down in the comments below so you can receive notification every time I upload a new video.